on Wycombe Sound.
You are listening to a special election programme here on Wycombe Sound. We've invited all of the candidates standing in the Mid Buckinghamshire constituency here today. The quickfire question again, one sentence. Is it too late to cancel HS2? Wisdom.
Absolutely not. It can be done straight away. We need to restore as well the environment that is destroyed, have appropriate remediation and compensation for people who've been conned out of their land and properties. And as I've said earlier on, it's obscenely expensive. It's projected to kill tens of thousands of animals a year, every year that it operates, and it's going to emit 1.4 million tonnes of carbon. It can be cancelled. It should be cancelled. It must be cancelled.
Thank you very much. Yvonne?
Depends on the business case. If it makes good business sense to cancel it, if it's value, yes. If not, no.
Thank you. Anja?
I would want to see a very good case that value is increased by cancelling it, and I would want to see a very good case that we're not ending up with a bigger dog's breakfast than what we already have in our landscape. To me, the main thing now to focus on is to give communities something back, to restore nature, to repair the damage that has been done.
Thank you. Greg for the Conservatives.
No one has been a bigger opponent of HS2 than me. I got myself on the Transport Select Committee to fight them. I've said so often in the House of Commons we should scrap it all together. I have dragged their executives and their contractors' executives and multiple rail ministers up here. I've put them in the passenger seat of my own car and driven them round to see the mess that they are making. We cannot afford it as a country. It is environmentally destructive. It has wrecked our landscape. We need to get rid of it, and we need to get rid of it now.
Thank you. And Greg for the Green Party.
And the Green Party position has always been to oppose HS2, and it remains to scrap HS2. My own personal position is that the damage has been done, the money has been spent. It will be far more expensive now to try and restore back to where we are, and it would leave us with a national embarrassment to have a probably the most expensive cycle route in the world left in our county. So my own personal view is that we need to just bite the bullet, get this done, so that we can get some benefit out of this abysmal project, and ensure that there's a public inquiry, so that the people that have been driving this forward in the government can be held to account, and we won't make this mistake again.
Thank you. Greg, you should go ahead there. Did you want to comment on anything?
I will always put Buckinghamshire first. If I need to step outside my party line, I categorically always will. I've stepped outside my party line on far more than HS2, but HS2 is the big one. There is a reality. The Labour Party fully support HS2. The Liberal Democrats corporately support HS2. My party has unfortunately supported HS2. There has been this political consensus around it. When I got to Parliament in 2019, I was one of 60 or 70 voices out of 650 MPs that were categorically opposed to it. I will always put Buckinghamshire first. I will always oppose HS2. I will always fight it.
What would you do with the concrete bridges around Wendover? The concrete bridge that's been built at Aylesbury, the concrete bridges that are spanning from here down to London and from here up to Birmingham. You can't just wipe those away. That's already been done. That's already been spent. We need to reevaluate what that means and then make the right decision moving forward. And actually getting some benefit out of this misery is probably the best thing we can do.
There is no benefit from HS2. I've had such rows with the contractors and with HS2 Limited about blighting our countryside. It's almost like they don't really understand what the countryside is, putting these concrete monstrosities.
Certainly, it's the local authority that's led those.
It was an act of Parliament passed in 2017. It has not been the local authority.
Challenging the local contractors and the HGV traffic. It's been the local authority that's challenged that.
Buckinghamshire Council
within this local area.
Buckinghamshire Council has taken HS2 to court. Conservative-run Buckinghamshire Council has taken HS2 to court. I've stood absolutely shoulder to shoulder with Martin Tett and Peter Martin and Steve Broadbent and the whole team at Buckinghamshire Council. Conservatives are aligned here in Buckinghamshire that we are opposed to HS2. But you can get rid of this. You can restore nature. I've worked actually with a Labour peer, Tony Barclay, who's actually a great guy. It proves actually we can work cross-party as politicians. And Tony Barclay has worked out that you can get the loss down to, it's still an eye-watering amount of money, but you get the loss down to £8 billion. But Losing 8 billion, I would argue, is better than spending another 60, 70, 80 billion, whatever this monster ends up costing. It is better to save the money and put the countryside back together as much as we can.
I'd like to bring Wisdom in.
Fully agree with that. We should cancel it. Look, the original business case was 18 billion, and now estimates are saying it's going to be 100 billion. I agree that with Greg from the Conservative Party that we should cancel it. Cut our losses and run. Why do we want to commit to another £100 billion of spending? It's an unmanageable project which isn't even fulfilling its purpose. It's supposed to connect London to the northeast and northwest. Well, it's not even going that far anymore. So we're getting to 1/4 of the route for 5 times more the money. Cancel it. We can repurpose the bridges, make them actual sort of crossings for animals as part of a nature-wide corridor and ecosystems. There's lots of things we can do. Cancelling it is a must.
Yvonne or Anja, would either of you like to add any further comment?
I think all Buckinghamshire MPs have opposed it. I know Sarah Green in Cheshire and Amersham has been vocal in opposing it and wanting it cancelled. As I said before, I would want to be convinced by a very clear plan that cancelling it is the right thing to do, that it is affordable, that it's not leaving us with a bigger mess, and that the opportunities it would have offered, if executed properly, if we really had a link from London to the north, that this can be done in some other way and that the money saved could be used for that. That is what I would want to see, and I would want to see a very clear plan as to what can happen with what has already been built and how we repurpose this and how we renature this before I felt comfortable saying that cancelling it at this stage is the right thing to do.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Yeah, with my project management head on, I would say, you've got a huge amount of sunk costs, which kind of make you go, you can't get those back, those are gone. The question is it worth investing in to get some benefit out of the monstrosity you've got there? So you've got a number of options, and I think we shouldn't do a knee-jerk reaction to this because we could end up in a worse mess, but we have to evaluate properly what those options are and what would be the right way forward, using and listening to the community who are directly impacted.
Thank you, Wisdom.
I have to say I disagree with Anja and Yvonne. Look, it has no business case anymore. The original business case is to save carbon and to change a modal shift. People would change the trains. Well, people have already changed from planes to trains. It's not even going to connect the north of the country to the south. Forget it. Stop now.
Anyone have any final comment I want to make on the
final
HS2?
comment really is that the main carbon costs of HS2 are already spent. The energy involved in pouring all of that concrete has already been spent. If we find a way of putting enormous machines to churn that concrete up and turn it into something else, that is another huge amount of carbon that we'll be spending. I don't really have a straightforward answer to a cancelling or continuing. It just seems that we have a national embarrassment and we ought to try and salvage something out of this mess that we've been left with.
It's an unmanageable project. The cost predictions are going from 10, 20, 40, 50, 60. When is it going to end? It has no business case. We have to cancel it now, sir.